The following program is a production of Pioneer Public Television. Major support for Compass is provided by the ongoing support of the Leo P. Flynn Estate of Millbank, South Dakota. Additional support is provided by the Southwest Minnesota Private Industry Council, promoting Southwest Minnesota as a place rich with opportunity. Come for the jobs, stay for the lifestyle. More information at swmnpic.org.
Hello and welcome to Compass, a production of Pioneer Public Television. I'm Les Heen, your host for Compass, and this is a weekly discussion of public policy and important issues facing our viewing area. This week, we will talk about the challenges and the services that are available for those who are deaf or blind in rural areas. We'll have representatives from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development and from the Department of Human Services. We'll touch on what's being done to help improve daily lives and outreach. First, Pioneer's Laura K. Prosser takes us to Grand Forks, North Dakota, where the North Dakota School of Vision Services is working to better the lives of those who are deaf or blind. Here's Laura's report.
It's hard enough to be hard of hearing or vision impaired, especially in rural areas where services are few and far between. But imagine if suddenly you found yourself living with both blindness and hearing loss. The challenges would be insurmountable. And that's exactly what Bob Clade lived through with the help of Ken Doctor. And this is the story of how one North Dakota school made all the difference in helping him navigate his life again.
Back on December 11th of 2012, I had an operation for an aortic aneurysm, which is down behind my stomach. It was supposed to be a fairly routine operation. There were some complications, and the problem that happened was my blood pressure got too low for too long, and my optic nerve, which is the communication center between the eye and the brain, along with some of my hearing, died.
So Bob, you were not blind or deaf prior to the surgery, correct?
No, I was totally normal, I guess you can call it. I could see just fine. I didn't wear glasses. I could hear everything just fine up until the point of the operation. When I did wake up, nobody really knew that I was blind or deaf. And at one point I asked my family, I said, am I awake? And they all assured me by talking real close to my ear that I was awake. And I said, well, we have a problem then because I can't see. And my heart sank about down to my foot, I think. First thing I thought is, what am I going to do? How am I going to make a living? What's going to happen to me now? Why did this happen?
As you were waking up, you didn't know where to turn, what to do next.
No, I didn't know if the hospital would help me. I didn't know if I was on my own. I didn't know where I should turn, what I should do. Ken really played a big part in getting me started because my first 6 months after I got out of the hospital, I just sat in a chair and felt sorry for myself. Basically, I went from the chair to the bed and the bed to the chair because I didn't know what to do. He said, why don't you come down to the school and I'll show you around a little bit.
So what kind of different approach did you take when you entered Bob's life?
I think one of the things I remember Bob saying at one time was, if I was just blind, it would be much easier to handle. If I was just deaf, it would be much easier to handle. But then he got kicked with being deaf and blind at the same time. So then that can be a challenge, to the client and working on that. as Bob said, you don't want to go from the couch to the bed and back to the couch and back to the chair and to the bed. And so you have to find something that is interesting to...
Gives you purpose. Yes, more than just the darkness.
Definitely gives you purpose and challenges you. Bob is very intelligent and wants to be challenged and wants to be productive and things like that. So Bob would come in for week-long programs, and he would come in on a Sunday afternoon and go home on a Friday afternoon, and we would teach technology classes, daily living skills, which would include like cooking and cleaning, and I always tell people what you do every day of your life but you take for granted. So we just work on giving people different confidence, a different way of doing things and changing that mindset and saying it can be done. And also I think one of the things that we did with Bob was huge was trying to get him hooked up with other agencies that could help with the vision loss and the hearing loss.
So Bob, now that you have become independent and gone through all these classes, what are some ways you have taken back your life?
Life has moved on. I've learned that there's no reason that you can't do most of the things that you did before. You just have to do them totally differently, and you have to have more patience when you're doing them, because it does take longer. It's just gotten to the point where I have to do this for me, otherwise I'm going to be just a bump on a log, and that's not what I want.
I don't think that's what anybody wants. So Bob, Ken, thank you for joining us. That's it for us in Grand Forks, North Dakota. I'm Pioneer's Laura K. Prosser. Back to Les in the studio.